You have more in the tank than you think. Everybody listening and watching has more in the tank than you think. You're gonna feel like you're gonna die, trust me, but you're not going to. Push the limit every day, just a bit more. Just go greater expansion, fuller expression, say those things. Not everybody's gonna like it, not everybody's gonna love it, that's okay. But stand tall, be true to yourself, and go for it.
Greetings everyone, and welcome to Unleashed, the fastest hour on the internet, where every episode I'm joined by a best-selling author or accomplished leader who shares common sense leadership ideas, all in the name of helping you make a greater impact. I'm your host, Jeff Tetz. Most leaders feel their business could perform better. At Results, we help leadership teams achieve their bold visions by providing a unique system of accountability and ongoing coaching to create more predictable and successful outcomes. Reach out for a conversation at unleashresults.com. If you want different results, you need to ignite change at the level where results are created in the first place, in your mind. When you do this, achieving your goals becomes not merely possible or probable, they become inevitable. Achieving your most meaningful goals and the science of goal achievement is the focus of today's conversation with Olympic gold medalist Lori-Ann Muenzer. When Lori-Ann Muenzer decided to win an Olympic gold medal, everyone said, that's impossible. And the reason behind it, she was 38 years old, working full-time, and racing against competitors that were half her age. But in true Lori-Ann fashion, she has spent her lifetime defying the odds. In Athens, Greece, the birthplace of the Olympics, Lori-Ann became Canada's first Olympic cycling gold medalist by thinking and using her mindset to overcome countless obstacles, challenges, and adversity to win the Olympic gold medal. She's the holder of 13 Canadian national titles, 6 World Championship medals, 11 World Cup medals, 3 Commonwealth Game medals, a 2-time Olympian, and she's been inducted to 3 Halls of Fame in addition to being Canada's very first Olympic cycling gold medalist. Today, Lori-Ann teaches what she used on the cycling track to help business professionals improve and enhance their results and mindset to achieve their most audacious goals in 6 to 12 months. Lori-Ann, welcome to Unleashed.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I am so excited to have you in the studio today, and this is a couple of firsts. And so number one, this is the first time I've ever conducted an in-person interview on Unleashed. And the second piece here is I have never had a gold medal Olympian on the program. So thank you for yet again setting another precedent, as if you hadn't set enough in your life.
Woohoo! Awesome. This is fun. Thanks for the invite.
No, this is going to be a fun conversation. And so there's lots of things we're going to get to. And I mean, we're going to talk about the science of goal achievement. That's a big piece of today's conversation. Talk about your accomplishments as an Olympian and the first ever cyclist to win a gold medal, first ever Canadian cyclist. But I thought we could maybe take a trip down memory lane. And I read somewhere that your first 10 speed was given to you by your grandfather somewhere around the time where you were 10 years old. And I wondered what your earliest memories of that first 10 speed were.
Oh my goodness. It was black. It had a crooked seat on it. I rode everywhere on it, and it was just my go-to. It was my freedom. It was my escape. It was how fast could I go. As kids, we used to play follow the leader up and down the street in between the parked cars, and you'd try and lose the kid that was behind you and see how close you could come to the cars, but without touching the car. And yeah, we just went everywhere as a kid. And it was just like, once you're able to get off the block when you're old enough, right? You know, you would just go. We would just go for hours, and we would be, I don't know, a mile, 2 miles from the house. But it was just, I love riding. And even to this day, I still love riding. I still ride 3 days a week.
Yeah, well, and I read that you started to experience like an addiction to speed. And like, so first of all, is that true? And if it is, was that like right out of the gate? Was that pre-existing, or did you develop that over time?
I think it's always been there, but I really am a sprinter. I don't go for like long high periods. I'm not like a Clara Hughes or anything like that, but I do get those bursts, and those bursts probably came from living in the Junction, the area where I grew up, the west end of Toronto. the bus would have a 12-minute route from end to end. And the goal was to beat the bus to the subway. And unfortunately, he had to pick up passengers. So it was like green light, go as fast as I could. And of course, it was who's going to hit the green light, the red light. And it just started from there. So it just grew.
What other evidence do you have as a kid of being that competitive?
Probably playing tennis by myself against the school wall. James Colnan was one of the schools close to the home. And I would either break the tennis ball. So the power aspect, I think, was always there. Just like hitting the ball, and the ball would give out, or I would just kind of mess up and, darn, there goes the ball up on top of the school, and there's no way that I could get the ball. And it was just until I found somebody I could play with, and then I would usually wear them out. And then I'd go and find the next kid, and I'd come in the house and grab the tennis racket, go out, come back in, change into my cycling stuff, go out, come back in. My mom stopped me the day that I had my baseball glove and my hockey stick. And I was like, Mom, what's up? She says, well, you can only play one sport. I said, yeah, but I'm the goalie, Mom. I need the stick and I need the glove. So even though my mom was confused, it was green light go, playing with the kids on the street all the time.
Yeah. Do you think that level of competitiveness, we're born with it, or do we sort of learn it early stages of life? What are your thoughts on that?
I think I probably was born with it. I think it's how I'm wired. I think it's something you can develop, especially when you find something you love. It's just like tunnel vision. That's all you see. That's all you want to do. You eat, you sleep it, you dream it, you do it. So repeat. And that's just how it went.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're given this bike around 10 years old. You start having all these races with other people and yourself, and you're beating the transit to the locations. When did it start to twig for you that a competitive cycling opportunity might be there for you and that you were interested in pursuing it?
Ooh, interesting, because there's a gap. There's a 4-year gap in high school. I did not play any sports. I got a part-time job. So I was working and spending money. And I didn't play sports. I didn't play like basketball or baseball. Baseball used to be my jam. Yeah. But then I found it a little too slow. And it was just like, you sit, you wait for the ball, and then you go. And then I remember the Olympics, watching Steve Bauer race to a silver medal, and everybody goes, but he lost. No, he won a silver medal, like, come on. And I can look at the footage going, the American Alexei Grewal was in the lead, probably not the best tactics with Steve leading him out, because the first rider is expending 25% energy more, or more than 25%. And the back rider's just going, all right, I'm just gonna follow you, and I'm just gonna follow you until I make my move. And by that point, usually, if you're leading out somebody, you're almost at max, and just that little extra boost was. But I remember seeing Steve win, and I was just like, wow, I wanted to do something like that, but I didn't know the seed that was going to be planted. Fast forward 3-4 years, I had been working full time, and I was bored. I was not doing a lot of physical activity. And I started riding my 44-pound mountain bike 3 days a week before work. I had a loop, 40 kilometers, and I got faster and faster. So in the 2-hour time frame, I would have to go further, and it was like, ooh. And then I rode to Hamilton and back on a weekend just for something to do.
Just for fun, I read. I know.
Yeah. Well, it was something to do. It was like, could I do it? You go along Dundas, the top, you go down to the lake shore. Well, if nothing else, I can be by the lake. You come home, and then that's it.
Which was, if my memory serves me, was 4 hours one way?
It was about that, yeah.
About that, yeah. Unreal.
Unless I took the wrong road, then it was longer.
And you have to pedal faster to catch up. No, what you're literally wearing the cover off of tennis balls, and then you go 4 years.
No. The tennis ball broke.
Yeah. It's not the hide. Just the whole thing.
No,
broke.
because they're an 8 and they go together like that. It would split.
Oh wow.
The tennis ball gave up.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
That says something. But you're so active, and then you go 4 years without it. Like, what was that 4 years like for you? Like, how did you fulfill that competitive outlet, or tell us what that was like?
There wasn't a competitive outlet at that point. I'd been kicked out as a kid at 18, and I was working full time, and I was moonlighting, so I was making some money, but not great money. And it was just the usual treadmill. Get on the TDC, head downtown, go to work, head back on the TDC, head back home, go work in the evening. And it was great at the beginning, but then it was boring. So.
Would you mind elaborating on what happened when being kicked out of the house at 18?
Oh, probably too much energy.
Yeah.
Being 18, full-time working, done school, right? I had my legal secretary degree. I think my parents wanted maybe more control than what they thought they could. And I wanted to do my own thing. Not that I was out late or out partying and stuff like that, but I wanted to experience life. I wanted to do some cool stuff. And my parents have different ideas, so that was the end of that.
Looking back on that experience, what sort of an impact do you think that had on you?
Oh, that has a lot. That has a lot. Yeah.
What did it do for you?
Oh, you're going real deep here. Family is a big thing for me, and I didn't have that. I didn't have the support. So it's something to go and do by myself. And you try and figure it out, but it takes a lot longer. If you want to go fast, go by yourself.
Right.
If you want to go far, go with others, right? That's leadership. That's part of a team. I believe that the best families are the ones that have different people that bring their gifts. And let me see if I can say this eloquently. When you're different and you have too much energy and people don't understand you, it's harder for the other people. And then being in here, I needed an energy outlet because I do have a lot of energy. I have a lot of energy. Even now, I mean, I still train 6 days a week.
Yeah.
I still ride my bike 3 days a week.
Yeah.
I still chuck weights. Not like I used to, but
So did you go more deeply inward after that, or did you find a sort of a community or a family-like environment with others?
Probably went in really deep. You put up the walls, you put up the armor, gladiator style, and you try and find a community, a group where you're accepted. You know, the title of my book is One Gear, No Brakes, but it's BREAKS, not BRAK. So it's the brakes you get in life, not the brakes on your car, or the brakes on your bike.
Yeah.
Belief, belonging are essential. And the greatest need as a human being is to be needed. The highest vibration is love.
Yes. Okay. How much, if any, of your desire to succeed was about gaining affection, acceptance, community, belonging?
It probably was 15 years after winning my gold medal, I figured out the real reason and the drive.
What was it?
To be accepted.
You're kidding. No way.
Yep. I chose a different path than my family. My partner is female, not male. So that's a little hard for some people. It is what it is. But I was always told to grow up, be honest, travel, see the world.
Yeah, that's profound.
But when you're different or you're not different, it's interesting. There was a girl, Vinette Brown, in grade 9 in English class. She wrote a short story. Now I suck at writing like creative short stories. I need you to put the dot and then I can run with it. But like plain paper, I'm in trouble. And the story that Vinette wrote was, there was this puzzle and there were all these pieces and they were all talking, and you know, the puzzle pieces go out because the puzzle gets put together, and there was one piece left. And that one piece figured out why all the other pieces were talking, because that puzzle piece didn't fit in the puzzle.
Right.
And I always remember that story. And I had reached out to her through Facebook. I found her and it was like, hey, there was this story you told. She has no recollection of it, but it's like, oh yeah, it's like burnt in my mind. And it's like, I'm that puzzle piece.
Yeah.
I don't fit in a box. I don't fit in a puzzle. I'm wired different, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest message when I'm talking to school kids is it's okay to be different. You're going to have to stand tall and, you know, buckle down sometimes because people aren't going to like it. But if you have a vision and you have a picture, go after it, because there's other people out there that think like you or can take you and develop you or pass you on to those other people. That is really cool. It's like, but if you don't fall in the track, like the school track, right?
Yeah.
Go to school, get an education. Then there's something wrong, and there's nothing wrong. It's just people do things different, but we need to ask better questions.
Yes.
Just like your questions here.
Yeah, well said. And I didn't expect us to get so deep so quick in terms of like.
But I'm a sprinter. We go quick.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. And because I wanted to get into some of the inner motivation and what kept you going. And I mean, I've learned so much about you, and I'm just tip of the iceberg still. But you had anything but a conventional path to the top of the podium, right? Yeah. So you're 38 years old when you win the gold medal in Athens, the birthplace of the Olympics in 2004. It was your second Olympics, coming off of the Australian Olympics in the year 2000. Yeah. But you had a litany of injuries and setbacks. You were not training full time necessarily because you had a full-time job while you were doing all of this. And you've already shared something on a deeper level with us of what motivated you, but what was that like for you to come back time and time again? Like, why didn't you give up after all of these setbacks and everybody sort of doubting what you'd be capable of doing at your age and with the injuries you overcame?
Because I wasn't done. I'm not done. I'm still not done. I'm just doing something a little different. And it's like, I'm not done. If I get one more day, yes, let's go and play. Yeah. That's the part.
So how quick, like what was one of the more significant injuries that you dealt with between, because you start racing around the age, competitively around the age of 21. You don't win the gold medal till you're 17 years later at 38, competing against women half your age.
Yeah.
What was maybe one of the more significant setbacks you have? Because I'd like to know, how did you come back from that?
I'm not going to say what you think it is the setback I had was not finding somebody who could help me start. Not putting myself in the right arena or community or venue and going, I want you to help me. That's the real one. Really? Because there's so many people that we come across, and you probably can think too of that, is you'll see somebody, you'll see the goodness, you'll see the talent they have. And nobody says boo, or nobody says you're great at this, you'd be really good. It's gonna take a hell of a lot of work. You're gonna have to be persistent, you're gonna have to be dedicated, you're gonna have to have a picture, and you're gonna have to have a plan, and then you're gonna have people that have to poke you, or support you, or guide you, or challenge you. It's all of the above. Yeah. And we don't do that enough. We just go, oh, yeah.
Yeah, so you were successful literally right out of the gate then.
I guess so.
Yeah. So you're winning races very early on in your career. I can't even comprehend. So a couple things. How did it take so long then to finally get a gold medal? I mean, if you're lucky to even get one, right? Which is it's a weird way to phrase it. But I'm like, if you were having success early on, it's not only that there was a 17-year like from start to gold medal. Yeah. And that you actually like were able to maintain your competitiveness at 38. Like, walk us through that a little bit. Like,
well, there were a number of starts and stops. Yeah. Money played a big factor into it because I ended up going probably $20,000 into debt that first year. I had tendonitis of both of my knees, so forget about riding and racing because you just can't push, you can't spin. I came back and I had no job. So what do? Like, I'm not a kid that lives at home. I'm not a young up-and-coming athlete. I don't get billeted. I had a partner, and it was just, that's the real world, right? And this is a question for athletes, too, is after you finish your sport, what are you going to do? Yeah. Like, we should be thinking about that. Do both. Do a little bit of both. Yeah. So then at least you're building so that if you get hurt, and you can never come back to sport, what are you going to do? Or if you finish your career and it's great, it's successful, what's your plan after that? Yeah. So there's a number of things. And then it was the end of 94, quit. I just ran out of money. I got hurt, stopped for a couple of years, did some bodybuilding, moved back to Toronto. And then 97, I remember where I was. I called Des.
Yeah.
And I said, are you standing or are you sitting? He says, I'm standing. I said, okay, please sit. I said, I'm looking for a coach. I want to race again. I'm not going into debt and I want to have fun. Would you be my coach? I think the phone dropped.
What did he say? And what did he say?
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah. So he didn't try to talk you out of it?
Nope.
None of that?
Nope. Oh, he was so happy.
Yeah.
I mean, I was happy. He was happy.
Yeah.
We were living in the same city, so I would drive an hour each way to get to his place. Sometimes I'd have a nap, have a sleep, and then we'd go train and, back home around 8, 9, 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
Because I had to be at work at 6.
When you look at your career, what do you think were your superpowers? Because I think it could be very easy to mistake it for you were just a natural, but I don't believe there's any such thing. And maybe you have a different perspective, but like you were able to accelerate so quickly, which is a great analogy for what you were doing. Yeah. After having a multi-year break and getting right back into it and being competitive against people that hadn't had the breaks that you had, like the breaks in terms of timeline, I mean, right? Yeah. Literally time breaks. What are the things that you do exceptionally well that allowed you to compete at that level for so long?
Probably a burning desire.
Yeah.
I think that is the thing. That is the essential thing, whether your sports, your business, your arts, your whatever it is. If you don't have a burning desire, you're only going to go so far.
Yeah.
And it will get you so far. But if you want to do really great things, you got to have the inferno inside of you, literally. Yeah. And I think that's the thing that I had that, and I wanted it.
Yeah.
I was willing to do whatever it took. I was willing to run myself into the ground, literally.
Yeah.
I've fallen off cliffs, broken my collarbone, whatever. Had a ruptured appendix in 2002.
Yeah.
Stuff happens, right? It
just seemed like more stuff was happening to you, though, at a time where you're a world-class athlete, and that's sort of the caveat. Like, I can understand those things happening to a person, but your ability to bounce back and be elite still is I don't think anything I've ever sort of come across before.
But I wasn't done.
Yeah.
I still had the movie when I was a kid, ripping up and down the street against the big kids. Yeah. And it's like I saw the podium. I couldn't tell you where the podium was. Yeah. I could tell you when I was in Athens and I was waiting and I went, that's the podium. Yeah. And it was like, that's what I had seen the whole time.
Yeah. Now, we're going to get into a little bit of like the science of goal achievement, which has got a bit more sort of business applicability to it. But before we do that, I would love it if you could walk us through those moments before the gold medal race. So just sort of those last few moments before you're set to go. And what do you remember about the actual race? And when you realize that you've won, like, I'm just so fascinated to get some insight into the mind of a gold medal champion.
I remember everything from the moment I arrived at the Olympic Village to the moment I crossed the finish line. Afterwards, I have a lot of trouble because all hell broke loose. Like, I was go here, go there, go here, go there. I didn't even eat. It was probably, I don't even know what time it was. It was like 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock when I finished. And then you got to go to doping control. And then it was this press conference. We went here, we went there. I didn't get home until 3 o'clock in the morning. I didn't have a beer, I didn't have a glass of wine, nothing to celebrate. It was like the next day. And there's like, okay, get up. And then you're on this treadmill. Interestingly enough, it was 3 days of racing. Typically, a Grand Prix or an international race is 1 day of racing. World Championships is 2 days. So full on in the morning on day 1 and evening. Sometimes, all depending on the schedule, day 2, nothing in the morning, and then you race in the evening. It's good mental-wise, emotional-wise. You can usually keep it together for 2 days. Try it for 3. Now that's really pressing your luck because it is such an emotional roller coaster. I had 13 races. I only lost one, which was against Anna Mears of Australia, who I thought I would meet up in the gold medal round. I don't know what happened, but just with qualification, I met her in the semis. Now the interesting part was day 1, morning and evening we raced. Day 2, morning and evening we raced. Day 3, it was only the evening. Okay. idle time. It's like, okay, I had to write out exactly what I was doing, where I was doing it. Like I had my whole plan. Just before we raced the semifinals, setting up before they closed the track to race, I found a longtime friend of mine, Robert Jones from Ontario, and I knew he was in the village because I talked to him, but I didn't know where he was, but I knew he was in the building. And I was setting up, and just past the finish line, he was right there in the corner, and I was just about to rock it, and I'm like, oh, hello, Rob. So then I had to reset again, right? It was one of those things, for me, I just need one person. Mm-hmm. And that's part of the belief thing.
Walk us through the seconds after you know you've won. What are your most distinct memories of that moment?
Well, actually, there's one just before that, because coming out of turn 4, if you watch the video, I look under my armpit because Tamila Abasova, the Russian, she was on my hip, and my goal was to keep her on my hip and not have her come past me to the finish line. I think we had about 60 meters or so.
So explain that. How do you keep someone on your hip so they can't get by you? What does that look like?
Well, there's a little bit of a catch. The very bottom of the track, there's a black line and there's a red line. The middle of the track is blue, and then you've got the top rail that separates the spectators from us competitors. As the first person, if you're in what they call the pole, the black line to the red line, you can ride that red line, but you cannot come over the red line. So you have to stay, it's the sprinter's lane, the sprinter's pole. So you have to make yourself very big. So I was 180 pounds, but I was also a lot more muscular. Not as much fat as when I started back in, 87 or so. But you're hogging and holding the space, because you don't want to lock elbows, because you can really flip yourself, or you can flip the other person. But you also want to have the speed faster than the other rider, and you must know, Jeff, at all times where your opponent is. And the idea of the game is not to let them pass you or let their wheel just get like a little bit ahead.
Yeah.
So I had a photo finish from Worlds May 31st, so 3 months prior, and Anna Mears was one hair ahead of me. She was one hair. And I had the photo finish, and I looked at it every morning, and I went, And I said to myself, if this would come around again, which I knew it would, that I would have a second opportunity to change the outcome, because Anna would go on to win Worlds. I got bronze. But I said, I knew I was going to meet her. I figured it was in the finals, not the semifinals. But when you're holding a person, you have to be able to accelerate really quick. If you get out of the saddle just before the finish line, you're going to lose time, you're going to lose speed, which they'll end up blowing past you. But you got to be faster. You have to hold them and give the illusion that you're in control, not them. So it's a total mind muck.
Is it ever?
It's cat and mouse, 60, 65 kilometers an hour on a bank, and you're up and down, you're kind of dancing, you're dueling. It's just nuts, and it's so exciting.
That gamesmanship within it, right? Yeah. Thanks for sort of pulling the veil back on that. So you get through that turn, you check under your arm to see where she is.
Yep.
You win, then what?
I don't remember.
You don't remember. That's it.
I don't remember.
Wow.
I was like, normally people throw their hands up.
Yeah.
I'm just like, are you kidding? My legs turned to jello. I'm hanging on for dear life, and it's just, the one hand.
When you watch videos of it then, is it a bit of an out-of-body experience because you actually don't remember being you in that moment?
Well, I remember, but it's just like, how do you slow down after that? Because you literally shut out. I shut out all sounds. I talked with Katrina Lemaidon just before I raced.
Yep.
She says she hears everything. She sees everything. And I'm like, nope. I'm just like, I've got a certain area that I see. I found out they had, 6,000 seats in Athens. They had 3,033 seats that were filled. I could have sworn I heard a pin drop.
Yeah.
And but you don't do that on day one. It took me all that time to get to that level. Can I do it again? Of course.
Yeah.
I'm not at that level because I don't need to be. Am I listening for trucks, cars, motorcycles, making sure I'm in the right spot when I'm riding on the road? Of course. Always.
Yeah.
And it's just, there's that, but it's just, oh my gosh. I remember having the Canadian flag given to me. And I did, I don't know, a couple honorary laps because I still could not slow down, right? And then when I got off the bike, the one thing I did that started a little bit of a trend was I kissed the track. And I actually have a photo of that because it was like birthplace of the Olympics. I'm getting goosebumps.
Yeah.
Wow. And everybody said, that's impossible.
Yeah, yeah. That's miraculous. This is an inspiring story, and to be able to get so deep into how it all happened. Thank you for sharing all of that. And we're not done talking about that, but I do want to now fast forward to today. So kind of like Back to the Future, getting in our Mandalorians here, or no, not Mandalorians, our DeLoreans. Mandalorian, that's a different thing.
I have played a mandolin, so I think that may be where that's coming in.
So we get on our DeLoreans and travel sort of to the future here. Mm-hmm. Now you spend a good portion of your time, and I know you're still doing a whole variety of things, but you spend a good portion of your time as a mindset and a success coach. Can you tell us a little bit about how you're spending your time now? And that'll sort of parlay into sort of the science of goal achievement, which, I mean, everybody that's listening into this conversation is going to be fascinated to sort of learn how can we apply a little bit more Lori-Ann into our lives when it comes to motivation and goal achievement.
Yeah, I think there's an art that goes with it. So I call it the science and art of goal achievement, because it's one thing to have a goal, but how can you make that goal come to life? And I've always said, and for any listener here, is your age is just a number on your driver's license. And I've proved that because I worked full time. I raced against competitors half my age, but it's the vision of what it is that you hold. So there's a number of different things. I still do a lot of speaking. I still get out to the schools because that's where my heart is and that's where my people are. Mm-hmm. And sometimes all you need to do is say one thing, and you know it when the young person has got it and they're just like off and running. And I probably will never hear from them again. I have heard from a few students, and it's like, wow, right? Just different things they've gone into. But I want to teach people how to do what I did. But there's rules, there's a rule book, there's a process, there's a system. Any successful thing has a system, or there's a philosophy. And what I do now is I teach the philosophy, I teach the system of goal achievement, but it's the science. And then the art becomes what makes it perfect for you. What do you need to do to tweak it? Because if I said, Jeff, we're going to the gym tomorrow, we're doing legs, you'll probably go, I'm tapping out, right? Yeah. It may not be your favorite part, but there may be a component that as we work together, I can figure out where is your heart? Like, where is your heart? What do you love to do? And it's about bringing that out. Yeah. Because I don't think it's right to tell somebody you should do this, you should do that. Yeah. Well, and I'm hoping that this conversation is going to leave people with a bit of a roadmap. And I think in probabilities. And I'm all about what are the decisions that we can make? What are the habits that we can apply to increase the probability of better outcomes, of better goal achievement, of a more fulfilling, gratifying life, of enhancing our impact with others and in the community. Yeah. So let's get to that roadmap then. So you say it's a process, it's a system. Yep. What are some of the fundamentals that would be in there, Lori-Ann? Well, number one, you have to have a goal. And most people set the wrong type of goal. And I'll tell this with anybody. There's 4 types of goals, but we really only talk about 3. Okay. So there's an A-type goal, which is a goal you know how to do. You've done it before. It's like going out and buying a car. If you go out and buy a truck, it's pretty much the same thing. You've bought your house, great. That's awesome. You've been there, you've done that. A B-type goal is what you think you can do. Well, if I do a lot of research, if I book a holiday, is a perfect B-type goal. There's no inspiration. There is just for that time. Yeah. If you said, I'm going on a 2-year trip around the world, that's not a B-type goal if you've never done it before. Okay. If you have enough information, you think you could do it, it's probably pretty logical. That's a B-type goal. Okay. Those are also SMART goals. Most corporations and organizations set SMART goals. They're dumb goals. Don't do them. Okay. Why? A 5% increase? That is not enough to get excited about. Come on. Seriously? Incremental, yeah. Okay. Like, why doesn't anybody say 100%, 200%? Well, when you say 200%, people start crapping their pants, right? that's when the giggling starts.
Yeah.
That's when people exit, go, nope, tapped out, right?
Yeah.
It's like, but what if we could do it?
Yeah.
What if we could? And a C-type goal is a dream or a fantasy.
All right, now we're talking.
And kids are pros at this.
Yes.
And then we screw them up.
Yeah. How do we screw them up? What happens there?
Oh, quit looking out the window. Quit daydreaming. Get out of your head. Quit playing, your music, or take your headphones off, right? Or quit drawing. It's like, those are our creative geniuses.
All right.
Those are the people we want.
And you're lighting me up even just talking about it. I mean, and the work that we actually do with leadership teams, right? One of the first things we do with them is we help them set like a big, hairy, audacious goal.
Yeah.
Right? And it's something that's 15 to 20 years in the future, that that kind of thing.
No. A C-type goal is what we do in 365 days.
Okay, wow.
It's even bigger than, it makes a big, what do they call it, BHAG?
Yeah. Big hairy audacious goal was, so you're talking 200% lift or gain in 1 year.
No.
How does a person do that?
You don't have to know the how. Remember the first thing I talked about was desire?
Yeah.
Do you have a desire?
Okay, so how do you tell a difference between a real desire and maybe like a fake?
It's a feeling.
False desire.
It's a feeling.
How do you know to trust the feeling?
Oh my gosh. It's that little whisper. It's that little whisper. And you're always going to have those naysayers, and they're like loud and in your face.
Yeah.
And those are the paradigms. Paradigm is a set of programs that we have that we're all trained. It's what we believe. It's how we behave on automatic pilot.
Yeah. So really good segue and timely as well. On my recent vacation, I read a book around like self-sabotage and like listening to your intuition, and our intuition is not always as accurate as we think, but there's a way to tell the difference. And if it really is your intuition, it is exactly what you said. It doesn't make you anxious. It doesn't make you fearful. It makes you sort of at peace and excited. And those it makes the hairs in the back of my neck stand up just talking about it.
Yep.
So that's the right kind of intuition. So
Yep.
so you've got a dream, you've got a vision, you're that little quiet voice is speaking to you.
Yep.
How do you then start to put some action towards it to make it happen?
Well, that's the first thing right there. You got to put action. You got to get out. Number one, Napoleon Hill says in his book, Think and Grow Rich, you got to make a plan. And then you got to take action.
Yeah.
And you got to start. It's imperfect action. It's going to be messy. Who cares? Start.
Yeah.
95% of the population talk about it. And then there's those in the 5% that go, okay, here's a quick plan, boom, and go out. Every time, Jeff, that I have written out the plan, even if it's a week or 2 weeks, it always happens.
Yeah.
It always happens. But it's because I believe in what it is that I'm doing. We're going driving. Another snowstorm hits Edmonton, Alberta, right?
Yeah.
You don't just stop and pull over on the side of the road. You drive a little bit slower. You're checking out what's around, but you're still moving towards a destination. You're going as far as you can see, because what happens is, if this is where I'm going to, this, which was we're going to go there, now becomes here. It's like, oh, okay. It's like driving through the fog. And then you go to the next point, and you're there. If you keep moving, will become here.
Yeah.
That's how I won my gold medal.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had a plan from October 28, 2003 to August 24th. We had to adjust it every now and then. I got hurt, I got injured, stuff came up. Oh, we had one of the lights at the velodrome fall on the track. I even have photos of it. Like, we could not ride the track because there was this big metal beam on it. Yeah. That was an unseen force. It's like, stuff is gonna happen. Okay, so we modified the training, which probably served me better. So maybe I didn't do as much on the track, but we still created a workout. I still had fun.
Yeah. So I'm interested in if you have a tangible example, perhaps, of like, so you have that intuition, you know you got to take action and make a plan. Because I think a lot of times people fail in that, the gap between the vision, the inspiration, the intuition, and making a plan, like they procrastinate or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. But What's a good example, I guess, of some small little steps that just get people started on the trail?
Are you talking business?
Well,
or
it could be
being
anything.
active?
I mean, it could be anything. I mean, business would be great if something comes to mind. I'm just kind of thinking of like when you're advising your clients on what are some strategies to come up with what some of the next steps might look like. I'm sort of curious about that.
Well, one of the key components that I believe that is part of my system is to have a mastermind. So I can come up with ideas, but I'm only going to go so far.
Yeah.
If I've got one or two other people, I'm going to get at least like 11 more ideas, because 1 + 1 is 11, it's not 2.
Yeah.
Even though in school they taught us 1 + 1 is 2. But it's just, you can tap into, and this is where being different comes in. Pick people that are different than you, because you may not like what they have to say. You may not agree what they have to say, but they'll show you another perspective.
Yeah.
Right? I was looking at this mug going, oh, I want your mug. It's got the Road 55 on this, right? Yeah. And I'm going, it wasn't until I took a swig that I went, oh, look,
it's there.
I've got it.
Change your perspective.
But it's just a different perspective.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you want to come up with ideas, masterminding isn't, I'm going to say bitching and complaining. It's not. It's problem solving or creative building ideas.
Yeah.
Right? It's how could I do this better, or what else could I do to enhance what we're doing here? I mean, how could we get this message out to 100,000 more people? Let's put another 0, or let's go 2 zeros on it, right? How many more people could we impact? Or could we go just times it, multiply it by itself?
Yeah.
Right? It's just like, what else could we do? I'm going to be tapped out going, okay, I'm here right now, but I need you guys to help me get to here. Or I've come up with this challenge, not problem. And then what are we going to do? Or no, so what could I do? I'm open, I'm all ears, but I also have to be open and receptive to hearing those ideas. I may not use them, but there's still going to be ideas that I've not thought of or had that experience about.
I often think that we're not starting from optimal conditions, right? And you're a great example of that. You got lots of setbacks that you had to overcome in lots of different ways, and you've shared a bunch of them with us. But so often people are burned out, they're overloaded, overwhelmed, they've got a million different commitments to hundreds of different people. When somebody is feeling burned out and overwhelmed, how do they start to take back their lives a little bit? Because I know it doesn't happen overnight. Yeah. But how does that come out for you?
I can relate to that. I've been burnt out. I've been like totally hit the bottom. And you got to start by having some fun again. What are some of the things that you love to do? What lights you up? Where's that spark? We got to get that pilot light going again, so to speak, right? Yeah. You can't have, everybody wants the gas fireplace or the beautiful bonfire on the beach. But what people don't realize that it's, I don't know, is this a word, sprockles? Up at the cottage, we used to get the little pieces, the twigs from the tree, and we had a sprockle box. Okay. And that's what Mom and Dad would use up at the cottage. Yeah. I don't think it really exists, but we'd find the cat in there because it was really warm, right? Yeah. But you need like paper. You can't put that log on the fire unless it's birch bark, right? Yep. Maybe then if you can get part of it lit up. But you have to have something that is going to catch that spark. And that's the passion part. It's like, man, I have chucked all of my racing magazines down the garbage chute in the apartment because I was just done. I was never going to race again. Yeah. And then it was like, yeah, okay, fine. Life goes on. And it's like, okay, you start weightlifting, and then let's go for a bike ride. Yeah. Let's go a little farther. Mm-hmm. I wonder if Des is around. Yeah. And it's like those little things, but it's that spark. And the pilot light's always on. Yeah. Every once in a while it goes out. Yeah. And usually it's somebody else comes along and lights it up with a word, a phrase, a crazy idea. And it's those crazy ideas that are your C-type goal.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to share on the science and the art of goal achievement? Anything else maybe fundamental to it that we haven't had a chance to at least touch on?
I really believe writing that plan is essential. It's never ever going to be perfect. You may do it once and it is perfect, but you'll never do it again. You will never have the exact same conditions, the same environment, the same people, you'll get close, but it's just like, forget it, is when you reach your goal, set another one within 24 hours. Like, not a week, not a month, like, boom, set it. You can celebrate a year later, a month later, a week later, or for a whole week or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But set that next goal.
Yeah.
Be quiet, go away. Like, I should have literally gone away somewhere quiet, taken 3-5 days just to go, okay, what now? What do I want to do?
Yeah.
Because I never got to do that. I never did that.
Yeah, and I try to operate around a 48-hour rule. So anything that great happens or a big setback, there's 48 hours to celebrate or mourn it, and then it's right back to the process again. It's right back to the thing that you do, and right back to the sort of the pursuit of the next mountain type thing, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, Lori-Ann, can we talk about your transition a little bit now? And I think that just about everybody goes through some kind of a life or career transition, and from our prime to our later years, from the, in your case, the pinnacle, literally the pinnacle of your profession, of your sport. What was it like then figuring out the next phase of your life? And in particular, you had made a name for yourself coming back and defying the odds. How the heck did you actually come to the decision to retire?
Ooh, that was really hard. Typically, our track cycling season would start February and it would go until like August, September. September, October, you'd have 3 weeks off, and then you'd start training, and then February, you'd start the new season.
Yeah.
The problem was, right at the end of 2004, the Cycling World Governing Body, UCI, they moved the season to start 4 months earlier in November. And it was like, oh God, that was like the worst thing. So not only coming off the Olympics, winning, being a champion, going, speaking, doing these events, all kinds of stuff. Then I had to start training, so I didn't have the regular 3 weeks, zero, like no bike, go on a vacation, travel. I had to start training for the World Cups and the World Championships, because post-Olympics, the World Cup and the World Cups are the big event. Yeah. And it just wasn't possible. I should have taken the year off in hindsight, looking back. Yeah. But again, that was part of the problem of not me creating my plan. What is my vision? What do I want it to look like? Even if it was just for 365 days. Yeah. And it didn't go so good. Yeah. Up and down, up and down. I remember flying to Toronto for, was it the London Olympics? That would have been 2008, 4 years later. And I wasn't even sure I could stand upright to get on the plane to go and do the media stuff that I was supposed to do. I had vertigo so bad. So if you look at it from a physiological view, I love Louise Hay's work. She's phenomenal. Vertigo is another example or a picture of things spiraling out of control, because you're just like, my world was spinning out of control. I didn't know what I wanted to do work-wise. I was doing speaking. I still wanted to race, but then how am I supposed to make a living? Right? There's the myth too around Olympians make tons of money. Some do, and some don't. There isn't a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. There isn't. You have to create it. You have to design it. I've hit rock bottom with depression. I remember Mark Tewksbury, not hearing stories of him not getting up or getting out of bed, and his mom being really instrumental. My partner threatened to carry me over her shoulder like a fireman and take me outside. And she said, "You got 10 minutes." And I'm like, shoot. And I'm like bouncing off of the walls. And okay, that was part of the climb back up. And every time, Jeff, when my head is right, my world is right. And it comes from a picture. Yeah. It's whatever we do, whether we realize it or not, we think in pictures. And the clearer the picture is, write out a plan. Don't think, go do the first thing on your plan. You will quiet that dragon, that inner voice, that devil, that demon. Yeah. Absolutely. It just goes.
So what were those early moments? What was the picture that started to show up for you then, post-cycling?
Oh, it's a number of pictures. It still is teaching spin. I do this in the winter for about 6 months. We've gone from being indoors to pivoting online. So instead of 2 days, we're 3 days now.
Yeah.
And it's so good because everybody's in the comfort of their home. They love it. They don't have to take down, set up, travel in the middle of a snowstorm. They're in the comfort of their home. So we're just wrapping that up. And it's just, it's more telling and sharing my story with other people going, if I can do it, you can do it. And I will put my driver's license down any day that you could do it as well. But it's just a picture of, I want to impact right now 333 people, emerging leaders, moms and dads, athletes, kids, to take the picture here that maybe they haven't said and get it out, like make it as real as the cup.
333 people.
Yeah.
Where does that come from?
Well, my favorite number, well, there's a couple of them. I love the number 3. I'm also a big fan of 7. I don't know why 7, but 3 is, I believe things happen in 3.
Okay.
Here, let me show you. So.
You brought it with you.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Oh wow.
So
on the way to the studio, I was kicking myself for not sort of suggesting that you bring it with you. Oh my goodness. Wow.
So when I got to the Olympics and I was handed my race number.
Oh my goodness.
This is
unreal. Yeah.
But this is the part I love.
Oh my goodness.
And I just did an event. There was 250 people in the room. And I brought it out and I literally dropped it out of my hand. And I said, if you need proof, here it is. Because
I'll hand it back to you. Yeah.
you'll see it on TV. There's different sizes, there's different shapes, and there's a story that goes with every Olympic medal.
Yeah.
My story began when I was handed my race number, which was number 6. 6 is a multiple of 3. Things happen in 3s, and I thought, okay, this is great. I looked at the top part. It's the 28th Olympiad. I was 28 years old when I started track cycling.
Yeah.
Could be another sign.
Yeah.
2004, 2 plus 4 is 6.
Yeah.
Okay. I won August 24th, 2 plus 4 is 6.
Yes.
I was also born in 66, a multiples of 3. I don't know, there's just so many things like that. And if you need proof, it's, I pass this around conferences and it comes back.
How do you measure the 333?
I don't know, it just feels good. Your age is just a number on your driver's license. You are and able to decide how old you really want to be. Sometimes I'm 21, sometimes I'm 12. I think 21 was a really good year because that's when I started cycling. 12 is when I went back to being a kid, and that's when we were up at the cottage, right? All summer long, and you don't even know what the songs on the radio are, or the new ones are anyways, and you're just out playing and having fun. It's get out, play, even take 5 minutes. 5 minutes is better than no minutes. And then you'll find 5 minutes kind of morphs into 10 and 20. And then you never know if it takes over. And if it does, it's a good thing. Listen to that little voice that says, go for it.
That's great advice. And lastly, so August 24th, you reminded me, coming up is going to be the 20th anniversary of your gold medal. There are not many things in the world that bring people together of different races and religions and backgrounds and beliefs than sports, right? And you were the first Canadian cyclist in the history of the Olympic Games to win a gold medal. You brought the whole country together at a time where nobody was anticipating you're going to win a gold medal in Athens, not anyone out of your inner circle, that is. When you look back on it, what does it mean to you?
Oh, sometimes, Jeff, it feels like yesterday, and sometimes it feels like it was so long ago. I mean, 20 years is a long time, right? And there's moments that are just like, they're right here. I can walk into it. I know exactly what's going on, who's wearing what, and right down to the detail. Oh my gosh, there's no one word to describe it. One thing I'm trying to do is see about getting my book back in bookshelves again and into hands of people. So I'm looking into getting that. There's a little bit more to it than what I initially thought, but it's like, okay, let's see what happens. It's a great story. It reads like a roller coaster gone wrong because it's all the stuff in between and what we've touched on. And it's just, for me, it was a culmination of 3 days. And there's so many people it connects. There's so many kids that they benefit from it. Like we have the Lori-Ann Muenzer program called LAMP, right? And it was started from Wayne McKenzie, who was part of our cycling club. It was his idea. Why not do like Nancy Green's ski program, but for kids on bike, road, track, and mountain bike? The kids will all probably have a mountain bike. Let's provide them with a road bike and a track bike. We have a number of high-level cyclists from Juventus and who are also on the track here. And all it is, sometimes it's one idea. You see something. I saw Steve Bauer. That, for me, I believe was the seed that was planted. And you just never know. You smile at somebody, you look at them in the eyes, you listen, you ask them a question, you can change the trajectory of their life and yours because of just what you send out always comes back. It may not be when you expect it, but it's gonna come back, and that's so cool. It's like, I had one person say, go for it. Go for it. Why not? And I'm gonna make t-shirts that will say, why not? Because why not? You don't know. And here's one more thing, is you have more in the tank than you think. Everybody listening and watching has more in the tank than you think. You're gonna feel like you're gonna die, trust me, but you're not going to. Push the limit every day, just a bit more. Just go greater expansion, fuller expression, say those things. Not everybody's gonna like it, not everybody's gonna love it, that's okay. But stand tall, be true to yourself, and go for it.
Wow. Lori-Ann, I have enjoyed this conversation so much.
Thank you.
I feel inspired to go for it and think bigger just by being here with you today. You have an essence and an aura about you. Getting to know you better now, it's no surprise that you have reached the heights that you have. So thank you for sharing some of yourself today and your story, and for the betterment of all our viewers and listeners. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much.
Where can people track you down? So on the internet, where do you want them to find you?
Lori-AnnMuenzer.com is the easiest place. You can Google Lori-Ann, you can Google Muenzer, I show up. My email address, if you want to get a hold of me, is info@lori-annmuenzer.com. And it's on my website, so you can always reach me there. I might need 24 or 48 hours to get back to you, but I will get back. Everybody who sent me a note when I was at the Olympics, it took me 3 months, but I replied to every email that I received, because the night I'd pop into the internet cafe that we had at the Olympic Village, and it started getting bigger and bigger and bigger, all of the emails coming in. So I just want to say thank you to everybody who has been watching part of my journey, and even now this journey is, I so appreciate you. I appreciate this conversation here. And you just never know where that one idea is going to come from. Take it, run with it, and go play.
Yeah, go play. I mean, I think that's what I'm taking. Think big, go play, find joy and excitement, the things that light you up. So thank you so much for being here. And to the audience, thank you for tuning in today, and can't wait to see you next time. If you enjoyed this episode and found it helpful, don't forget to give us a 5-star rating and subscribe to our YouTube channel or wherever your favorite podcasts are found. And if you're part of a leadership team and you just know that your organization is capable of even better performance, please reach out to us at unleashresults.com for a conversation and to learn more about how we might help unleash the potential of your team and organization.